You might be wondering, why is this resort so quiet? Well, if you make your way down to the communal area, you can see a couple of silly sausages ran and slipped on the wet tiles. Welcome back. Our targets today are Joanne Baywater, Sully Bowden, Robert Burke, and Jack Rowe, who's a professional chef. We've been paid to brutally kill them all. I'm taking in with me a flash phone, a Beyblade, and a silenced pistol. I make my way down to the Vineyard and the party is still raging. Ready to pop the cab sav, I attempt to enter but am denied at the door. Probably should have worn socks. Fortunately, there's a dangerous cliff path, so I walk down that and find two guards looking colourful. I throw my flash phone at them and then proceed to shoot them with truly abysmal accuracy. I could have been a professional esports player if I hadn't rolled my ankle. I make my way into the plantation and it's a pretty disgusting operation they're running here. As you can see, this woman has a cap and this man has a Legionnaire hat which offers full UV protection for his face and neck. Women are getting 70% of a man's hat. I thought IO Interactive were a progressive gaming studio, but it looks like they hate women just as much as the rest of us. I make my way further into the venue. The Vineyard has a cinema for the guests where they play footage of the Vineyard. This is why the tourism industry is dying. That and COVID and the looming potential of World War III. Now I've just got to find the first target, Joanne Baywater. If I fail this mission, I have to wait 12 hours before I can play it again. Making players wait real life hours is a questionable game mechanic, but it sure does make things tense. I discover that you can open and close these giant skylights. No real tactical value, but you never know when you might need the environmental endorphin boost natural sunlight can provide. I decide to sneak around behind the owner's mansion. It's here that I find a small cave that has a naked winged infant sculpture, aka Cupid, the god of desire and erotic love. Maybe the Greeks could have made him like 16 with a pair of slacks. Our guard comes down to pay his respects, and so I lure him inside by throwing a gas canister. I then choke him out and steal his senior guard disguise. We've now got full access to the mansion grounds, but then I realise I've broken one of the conditions of the contract. I'm only allowed to change my outfit once. This is a real blow to the mission, so I take out my frustration by beating the property owner's wife to death with a piece of fruit. I restart the mission with a new plan. I need to get into the party, and after 15 seconds of searching, I find an invitation. You might be wondering, what's in the briefcase? The first thing I do is get lit because we're at an Argentinian vineyard and I'm not a racist. Like the video if you're also not a racist. I begin searching for Joanne again, and then while I'm AFK, she just happens to walk right past me. I did a better job when I wasn't holding my controller. Joanne orders a glass of Malbec, which is a full-bodied drop known for its fruity flavour and smoky finish. I begin the extensive search for this exact bottle, and I surprisingly find it in the very first place I look. I now need to secure a waiter disguise. I slip into the storeroom and pick up some rat poison. I then turn on the ice machine to lure someone over. It pains me to waste frozen water like this, as I'm sure someone in Africa would have loved to have had some ice for their drink. Besides that woman I had to shoot in the face, it all goes smoothly and I take my position at the bar. Joanne comes around and I pour her a Malbec, not realising that I had to poison the glass first. I guess at least my target is having a lovely time now that her wine palate is satisfied. I apply the poison and she comes back, but now doesn't drink. Maybe it's because she's not thirsty, or maybe it's because there's a pretty observable green haze. Either way, big boy in the red coat isn't scared of being roofied and he dives right in. He's in bad shape, likely due to the internal bleeding and early onset liver failure. I don't want any loose ends, so I push him over the railing. It's not great for the end of mission rating when you kill civilians, but when the button to push people appears, it's almost impossible to resist. I decide to activate Plan B, which in hindsight should have probably been Plan A. I find the perfect sniper nest and clear out the pesky krauts who have it locked down. I then unpack my sniper rifle and begin scanning for Joanne. I line up my scope and proceed to eliminate the big girl with 5 clean shots, 2 hitting and 3 missing. I then leave the area via a cool vineyard slow walk. We complete the first target and unlock a guru's suit, which might be the ugliest thing I've seen in my life. We are now going to China to kill Sully Bowden. I spawn in and this person doesn't have an umbrella, but I do. How disorganized of her. She does, however, wear pink Crocs and drink water, so I'd still smash. I now have to locate little Sully, who used to be a professional boxer, but he got banned for killing his opponents. Relatable. The first place I decide to look is a Chinese restaurant, although as we're in China, it would just be called a restaurant. I walk in and the place is pretty dead. There's a balding man smashing noodles and some adorable bonsai trees, but no sign of our target. As I'm leaving, this lady is trying to come inside, so I decide to hit her with a family-friendly Christian prank. As I attempt to close the door on her face, she simply phases her way through a solid object. It doesn't matter what country you're in, all women really are witches. Early modern Europe had it right after all. I then find Sully and he's just having a good think in the rain. His security detail is no joke. Sully then sits down with someone who owes him money. He obviously wants it back, there's some real tension. I decide to follow the woman back to her apartment. When stalking someone back to their home, it's important to stay far enough away that they don't get suspicious, but close enough that you could still lunge forward and slap a whistle out of their mouth. I follow her inside and it becomes immediately clear that she didn't use the money she borrowed from Sully on an interior decorator. I check out her laptop and I have the option to send Sully an email to come and collect his cash. I decide to leave that for now and do some more recon. The entire block is completely locked down. I climb up some scaffolding which leads me to a lab where, if my memory serves me correct, they do experiments on homeless people. Relatable. I sneak into Sully's den and I guess now my sunglasses don't have lenses, which really saved this outfit. He seems to have set up some kind of fight club, which I'm all about, but I have to hop into a dumpster to avoid being caught trespassing. Everyone walks in and they're training and talking, but I can't see anything because the dumpster's line of sight is facing the wrong way. Intel gathering at its finest. I hop out and try and sneak up on Green Jacket Guy, but suddenly it's all gone horribly wrong. I end up gunning them both down, but unsuppressed weapons were fired, so I have to bail and hide in a closet. It's safe to say the element of surprise has been lost. I eliminate one of the homeless experiment people and take his clothing, as they seem to have pretty good access to most of the map. I run back and send the email to Sully from Debt Lady saying she wants to meet. While I wait for him to collect his money, I push these orange cones back up, which is a cool and intelligent thing to do. Look at the little guys go. After some time, it becomes clear that Sully isn't coming to meet her. I guess seeing a bunch of his men's corpses riddled with bullets put him in an untrusting mood, which is a really ugly personality trait. Using my new disguise, I sneak in the back way and find the main hangout area. I turn off the fuse box, and then when one of his lackeys comes to turn it off, I stab him in the pancreas with a kitchen knife. I then sprinkle some poison onto his narcotics and take an entire brick of the good stuff for myself, as sometimes it's nice to treat yourself. When he comes in to smash a few lines, he dies, which sucks, as now Blow is going to get a bad name. 2 targets down, 2 to go. As I'm leaving the area, I slip through a laundromat and can't help but notice how soiled these whites are. Do they not have bleach or nappy sand in China? I can get around experimenting on homeless people, but not taking laundry day seriously is unforgivable. It's time to go to England to kill Jack Rowe and Robert Burke. I decide to start undercover as a mansion guard. I spawn in and Agent 47 is shining his plastic gumboots, which is a normal thing people do. I slip out the window and begin the search. Strangely, all the maids in the house see right through my disguise. They're like a more sanitary KGB. I grab an axe and then notice I can vandalize this unicorn sculpture. Unicorns have to be the shittest fantasy creatures. It's just a horse with a horn on its head. That being said, you could easily attach horns to racing horses and then it would be far easier to get girls aged 7 to 14 into gambling. I realise my targets are not in the garden, so I break back into the mansion. These know-it-all maids are proving to be a real thorn, and so I make them a priority target. I almost get caught hiding a body, and the person who almost catches me is Jack Rowe himself. The big dog is enjoying a meal in the break room. Great to stay well nourished, I guess. He then carries his half-finished meal into the kitchen and leaves it unattended. It's pretty obvious what has to happen. I head outside and ditch the axe, as we're now going for a more subtle approach. I grab some rat poison and head back inside. When he's not looking, I garnish the dish. Then, in one of the strangest things I've ever seen, Jack takes the plate into the dining room and serves the meal to one of the property owners. In all my years of Hitman, this is quite the twist, and I end up poisoning the wrong guy because they're sharing dinner plates. No amount of training could have prepared Agent 47 for this. Jack then brings the dish back into the break room and starts eating it again. He just saw a man get poisoned and he's not even fazed at all. This is the most alpha NPC I've ever seen. I decide it's time to upgrade my disguise to a senior guard. I slip a little something into one of the water bottles. Half of this game is roofing people and the other half is putting on their clothes. Probably why I love it so much. I give him the most noble death I can think of. I drown him in his own vomit in the guest bathroom toilet bowl. I then go and find Jack again and he's just waiting to serve that other guy their communal food. I have a hunch that he probably won't show up. Jack just keeps patiently waiting, and so I'm left with no choice but to shoot the chandelier and try to crush the big Gordon Ramsay stand. He somehow avoids it, and so I lure him out into the hallway and beat him to death with a fresh fish I grabbed from the kitchen. He had a pack of cigarettes on him, and so I grabbed those. Target down, it's time to kill Robert. I head upstairs and find a maid being hit on. Maybe if I put on a maid disguise, that guard would hit on me. It would offer no tactical benefit, but sometimes it's just nice to be wanted. In one of the bedrooms, I remember a secret passageway, and so I peek through the eye hole and locate Robbo. I show myself inside and even relieve one of the guards, telling him that I'll take over. It seems like weak security protocol, especially given I just appeared out of the wall. Robert is one of those guys who puts makeup on dead bodies to make them look hot for the family. No one knows how to put makeup on like a straight white creepy ass looking male. He keeps complaining about having no cigarettes, which just shows how out of touch he is. There's wars going on where children are being forced to fight, and I'm sure those kids need to smoke way more than someone who puts blush on a corpse. Even still, I place the packet on the table and then loosen the valve on this gas heater. I then simply wait for everything to fall into place. Robert returns and rubs the corpse nipple for a while and then heads off for a dart. He takes his Bic lighter out, and the second a flame appears, there's a huge explosion which kills him, but also me. I guess I forgot glass wasn't explosion proof, so 12 hours before I can play again. I waited those 12 hours and returned with a plan. First, I had to kill the other 2 targets again. Both kills went about as smoothly as you'd imagine. I then return to England and I take a lot of guns and weapons. I plan to kill every person on this estate except Chef Jack. Poisoned and germs won't deter him from eating that plate of food, but will watching his friends and colleagues get gunned down and butchered deter his raging appetite? First, I had to take down the most dangerous and obvious threat, the maids. These glorified cleaners have made sneaking around this establishment near impossible. I used to view maids as hygienic and sexy, but now I see them for the snitches they really are. They'll steam clean your upholstery and then rat you out to the guards because apparently they've memorized every person who works here. Stage 2, the gardeners and the outside guards. Probably no real need to kill these blue-collared hard workers, but it's better to be safe than sorry. Stage 3, storming the castle by force. This is the trickiest part of the operation as it's pretty easy to die. At one point I had to retreat into a small room and was completely pinned down. I then hopped into the cupboard, which completely bamboozled everyone. These guys would suck at hide and go seek. I take down Robert, and now it's just a matter of finding our chef. I double check that there are no survivors, and then after some time I find Jack. Imagine you're trying to process the horror you just witnessed and you look up and see this guy. He's not too happy to see me, and then he begins jogging around, but not towards the kitchen. The dodgy Malacca is now not hungry and makes me get my shoes wet. I decide to offer yet another honourable warrior's death. I proceed to kneecap him, which he honestly takes like a champ. I'm not allowed to change my disguise more than once or I'll fail the mission, but killing everyone in any way I choose is apparently more than fine. I throw an axe into his head, completing the contract. If you enjoyed this video, hit like, follow me on Twitter or Instagram, baby. I love you and goodbye.